Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jayan Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. So before we do the Srimad Bhagavatam class, today is the disappearance and appearance day of like 5 different acharyas and important personalities. So we're going to read about 2 of them. Let's see. On this 2nd day of February 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from the Srimati's book. Srimati's compiled about all the histories of the different devotees. And I picked out 2 exalted souls that we'll read. They're both appearance days. Vishnupriya. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi was Lord Chaitanya's 2nd wife, and there's very little about her in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But Manadi Swami has taken from mostly the Chaitanya Mangal, which, who said Murari Gupta wrote that? I forget who wrote that, but that's another very nice biography of Lochandasagar, I'm sorry. Very wonderful biography of Lord Chaitanya. And there's a very nice description of her, especially he describes the last meeting of Vishnupriya and Lord Chaitanya. He's about to take sannyas, and she was, anyway, you'll hear. The Supreme Lord has 3 different internal Shaktis or potencies, Shri, Bhu, and Leela. Bhu Shakti appeared as Srimati Vishnupriya Devi in Gaur Leela, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, to assist Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. King Shatrajit, the father of Satyabhama in Krishna Leela, appeared in Gauranga Leela as the Brahman Sanatan Mishra, Vishnu Devi's father. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi overflowed with all good qualities. Her beauty surpassed that of the goddess of fortune. She was devoted to her parents and dutifully followed scriptural injunctions. Regularly she worshipped Tulsi Devi and observed vows of austerity such as bathing 3 times daily in the Ganges. Whenever she met Shachi Mata, Lord Chaitanya's mother, at the Ganges, Vishnupriya would humbly bow down at her feet. Sati Devi often thought that chaste, beautiful Vishnupriya would make an ideal bride for her son Nimai. After Lakshmipriya Devi, Lord Chaitanya's first wife, died in separation from the Lord, Nimai Pandit married Srimati Vishnupriya Devi. Chaitanya Mangal and Chaitanya Bhagavat gave elaborate descriptions of this most auspicious wedding. Buddhimanta Khan, a rich landowner, bore all expenses of the opulent royal wedding of the divine couple, Vishnupriya Devi and Sri Nimai Pandit. All the people of Navadvip and the neighboring villages came to the wedding. During the ceremony, all eyes were on the divine couple, as if to devour the matchless beauty of Vishnupriya and Nimai Pandit. The Vaishnavas sang Hari's glories. The Brahmins made a circle around the Lord and chanted the Vedas. A sea of joy flooded the four directions. Those who didn't drown simply floated in bliss. Besides the wedding, Vrindavan Das Thakur doesn't elaborate much about Vishnupriya's pastimes. But in Chaitanya Mangal, Lochan Das Thakur tells pastimes not mentioned elsewhere. He narrates the especially touching last conversation Lord Gauranga had with Vishnupriya Devi the night before he took sannyas. Quote, this is from the book. In a voice choked with emotion, Vishnupriya said, "Tell me, O Prananath, Lord of my life, is it true, the rumor I heard, that you will take sannyas and leave me? If I lose your association, I might as well end my life by drinking poison." Responding with gentle, compassionate words, Lord Chaitanya said, "Vishnupriya, you are as dear to me as life itself. There's no need to worry. Please hear what I am about to say, for it will help you. The only truth in this world is Bhagavan and the Vaishnavas. Everything else is illusion. Fathers, mothers, children, relationships between men and women are all illusory. Krishna is the master, the real husband of everyone. Don't lament, don't worry. Your name is Vishnupriya. Therefore, fulfill the real meaning of Vishnupriya and always think of Krishna within your heart." Then Sri Gaur Sundar showed his four-armed form, which helped Vishnupriya understand his absolute position. Seeing this form vanquished Vishnupriya's grief and pain. She felt blissful. This vision and Mahaprabhu's instructions removed her bewilderment, but she kept the mentality of taking the Lord as her husband. Sobbing and falling at Lord Chaitanya's feet, she said, "I beg you to accept my humble submission. You are the most dear Lord of my life, my only wealth. Without you, without your service, I have nothing." Lord Gauranga embraced Vishnupriya with his eyes. He gave her mercy with these words, "I shall travel here and there, but wherever I go, I shall always remain at your place." Understanding the supremely independent nature of Lord Chaitanya, Vishnupriya said, "You must do what makes you happy, my Lord. Let no one be an obstacle to your divine mission." Close quote. And then after Srimai Pandit left Navadvip, Vishnupriya adopted a very, very austere and devoted life. She became as thin as the crescent moon before Amavasya, the dark moon. Following a rigid sadhana, she set aside 1 grain of rice for every round of Hare Krishna japa that she chanted. In the evening, Vishnupriya Devi cooked those grains, offered them to her personal deity of Mahaprabhu, and honored the remnants. Known today as Dameshwara, but Dameshwara Mahaprabhu, Vishnupriya's gorgeous deity of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu resides in Navadvip city. Srimad Mahaprabhu receives regular worship and gives unlimited mercy. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi Ki Jai. And then the other personality I chose is, I think, Pundarik Vijayanidhi. Yes, he has a wonderful pastimes, recounted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. A disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri, Pundarik, this is also his appearance day. A disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri, Pundarik Vijayanidhi, was Sri Gadadhar Pandit's guru and an intimate friend of Swarup Damodar. Once in Jagannath Puri, Pundarik Vijayanidhi met Swarup Damodar after a long separation. In the joyful mood of friendship, Pundarik and Swarup wanted to take the dust from each other's feet. A scuffle began as they tried to simultaneously catch the feet of the other, but at the same time avoid having their own feet caught. Both being quite strong, neither won, but Lord Gauranga enjoyed their sporting play and everyone laughed. Pundarik Vijayanidhi has other names, Sri Vijayanidhi, Acharyanidhi, Bhaktiyanidhi, and Premanidhi, given by Lord Chaitanya, that last one. Quote, simply by hearing his name, said Lord Chaitanya, the whole world becomes purified. Premanidhi's pure devotion caused Lord Chaitanya to sometimes cry profusely and call out loudly, Bapa, father, Pundarik. Pundarik is my father, my dearmost friend. When will I see him again? Pundarik Vidyanidhi is King Vrishabhanu, Sri Radha's father in Vrindavan Leela. Continually floating in the sea of Krishna Prema, Pundarik often showed ecstatic bodily symptoms of tears, horripilation, that's the hair standing on end, falling unconscious. Whoever recites or hears the following narration of the meeting of Pundarik Vidyanidhi and Sri Gadadhar Pandit will receive the treasure of love of God. That's in the Chaitanya Bhagavatam. This is also recounted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. When he first arrived in Navadvip, Pundarik Vidyanidhi disguised himself as a worldly sense enjoyer. Besides Mukunda, nobody knew that Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a pure Vaishnava. Today, quote, today I will introduce you to a most exceptional Vaishnava, said Mukunda as he took Gadadhar Pandit to meet Pundarik Vidyanidhi. They found Pundarik reclining on an opulent brass bed covered with red satin sheets, silk pillows, and topped with a three-tiered canopy. A gem-studded pan box, stuffed with fragrant spices and betel nuts, waited within arm's reach. Two shiny brass spittoons stood as silent sentries beside the bed. Seeing the mirror-stained red from his chewing pan, Pundarik laughed heartily. Two servants cooled him with peacock fans. Was this a Vaishnava or a prince wallowing in luxury, wondered Gadadhar Pandit. Doubts arose in Gadadhar's mind about Pundarik's spiritual status. Reading his mind, Mukunda decided to reveal the highly exalted transcendental identity of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Mukunda recited Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6.35. So they got a link here. I'm going to. Putana lokabalagni rakshasi rudirashana jagang sayapi hridaye stanam dotvapi sadgatim. So after he recited that, which means always hankering to taste the blood of small children, Putana came to kill baby Krishna. But because she offered her breast to the Supreme Lord, Putana attained the greatest blessing of being accepted as a mother of Sri Krishna. Hearing this verse totally transformed Pundarik Vidyanidhi. A Ganges river of tears flooded his eyes. Perspiration rained from his body, and his bodily hairs stood up. He ripped off his embroidered silk shirt and wildly thrashed his legs about. Rolling on the ground, he wailed, "The Lord is infinitely merciful, yet he deprives me of his mercy." His clothes, the brass bed, the fine bed sheets, the mirror, the spittoons, all his opulent trappings were ripped to shreds, smashed to bits. 10 men tried but couldn't restrain the force of Pundarik's ecstasy. The manifestations of Pundarik Vidyanidhi's pure love for Krishna competed with one another for some time. Finally, his spiritual emotions reached their peak and he lost external consciousness. Sorry. After witnessing this spectacular display of transcendental feelings, Gadadhar Pandit realized his offense in misjudging Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be a materialistic devotee. To rectify his mistake, he wanted to take initiation from Pundarik. 6 hours later, Pundarik returned to external consciousness. Now he seemed calm and composed. Happily, he initiated Gadadhar Pandit. Pundarik Vidyanidhi is Srimati Radharani's father in Braja pastimes. His samadhi is 64 samadhis area. Shri Pundarik Vidyanidhi ki jai. Okay, now we'll proceed with Bhagavatam. Okay, on this second day of February, 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Canto 8, Withdrawal of the Cosmic Creations. Chapter 3, Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender, text number 2. Shri Gajendra Uvacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Etach Chidatmakam Purushayadi Pijaya Padeshayabi Dhimahi Shri Gajendra Uvacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata etat chidatmakam Purushayadi bijaya Padeshaya vidhimahi Shri Gajendra Hovacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata etat chidatmakam Purushayadi bijaya Padeshaya vidhimahi Shri Gajendra Hovacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata etat chidatmakam Purushayadi bijaya Padeshaya vidhimahi Shri Gajendra Hovacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata etat chidatmakam Purushayadi bijaya Padeshaya vidhimahi Shri Gajendra Hovacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata etat chidatmakam Purushayadi bijaya Padeshaya vidhimahi Shri Gajendra Hovacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata etat chidatmakam Purushayadi bijaya Padeshaya vidhimahi Shri Gajendra Hovacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata etat chidatmakam Purushayadi bijaya Shaya vidhimahi. Ladies? No? Okay. Anyone else want to try? Okay. Word by word. Shri Gajendra Hovacha. Gajendra, the king of elephants, said, Om, O my Lord, Namaha, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tasmai, unto him. Yataha, from whom. Etat, this body and the material manifestation. Chit Atmakam, is moving due to consciousness, the spirit soul. Purushaya, unto the Supreme Person. Adibijaya, who is the origin or root cause of everything. Padaishaya, who is supreme, transcendental and worshipable for such exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva. Abhidhimahi, let me meditate upon him. So before I read the translation, just to set the scene, Gajendra, the king of elephants, was playing or sporting with a lake or a river? I think it was a lake, in the heavenly planets with a lot of she-elephants. And there was a crocodile, big crocodile, who grabbed his leg. And I guess all the she-elephants ran out. So he's fighting with this crocodile for 1,000 years. Is that mentioned in it? I think it's mentioned. And he's very strong, but he's out of his element, and therefore he's weakening more and more and more. Now this Gajendra was Indrajumna in a previous lifetime, and that'll come up in the purport. So finally, he remembers this mantra from his previous life, and he remembers, that he was a devotee. So he's calling out, and it's a series of prayers. This is the first one. And we'll see what happens. I mean, eventually he's saved. Vishnu comes down and saves him. But it's quite dramatic. So, translation, the king of elephants, Gajendra, said, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Person, Vasudev, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because of him, this material body acts due to the presence of spirit, and he is therefore the root cause of everyone. He is worshipable for such exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva, and he has entered the heart of every living being. Let me meditate upon him. Purport. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this verse, the words Etat Chiratmakam are very important. The material body certainly consists only of material elements. But when one awakens to Krishna conscious understanding, the body is no longer material, but spiritual. The material body is meant for sense enjoyment, whereas the spiritual body engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, a devotee who engages in the service of the Supreme Lord and who constantly thinks of him should never be considered to have a material body. It is therefore enjoined, Gurushu Nadamati. One should stop thinking of the spiritual master as an ordinary human being with a material body. Arche Vishnau Shiladhi. Everyone knows that the deity in the temple is made of stone, but to think that the deity is merely stone is an offense. Similarly, to think that the body of the spiritual master consists of material ingredients is offensive. Atheists think that devotees foolishly worship a stone statue as God and an ordinary man as the Guru. The fact is, however, that by the grace of Krishna's omnipotence, the so-called stone statue of the deity is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the body of the spiritual master is directly spiritual. A pure devotee who is engaged in unalloyed devotional service should be understood to be situated on the transcendental platform. Sagunan samatitjaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That's from Bhagavad Gita. Let us therefore offer our obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy so-called material things also become spiritual when they are engaged in spiritual activity. Omkar, or Pranava, is the symbolic sound representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Tat Sat Iti Nirdesho Brahmanas Trivadas Smritaha. The three words Om Tat Sat immediately invoke the Supreme Person. Therefore, Krishna says that he is Omkar in all the Vedic mantras. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. This is from Bhagavad Gita. The Vedic mantras are pronounced beginning with Omkar to indicate immediately the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, begins with the words Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. There is no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev, and Omkar, Pranava. We should be careful to understand that Omkar does not indicate anything nirakar, or formless. Indeed, this verse immediately says Om Namo Bhagavate. Bhagavan is a person. Thus, Omkar is the representation of the Supreme Person. Omkar is not meant to be impersonal, as the Mayavadi philosophers consider it to be. This is distinctly expressed here by the word Purushaya. The supreme truth addressed by Omkar is Purusha, the Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. Unless he is a person, how can he control the great stalwart controllers of this universe? Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva are the supreme controllers of this universe. But Lord Vishnu is offered obeisances even by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Therefore, this verse uses the word Pareshaya, which indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped by exalted demigods. Pareshaya means Parameshwara. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are Ishwaras, great controllers, but Lord Vishnu is Parameshwara, the supreme controller. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Salakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So we're just beginning this chapter in which Gajendra the elephant will be delivered by the Lord. He comes down eventually and cuts the mouth off of the crocodile, who's also delivered. He also goes back to Godhead. So, and in the previous purport, Prabhupada emphasized the importance of remembering verses, memorizing verses, so that in the next birth, if we happen to be in a great period of danger, we can remember that and be saved just like a Gendra. So, and of course he emphasizes the Hare Krishna mantra. Thank you so much for coming, Prabhu, all of you. Yeah. So the Gajendra is offering this prayer that he memorizes in previous verse, and then he goes on with his prayers. I think there's more that he recalls, and it's very wonderful. So, and in this purport, Prabhupada he gives the little summary of this very important verse. He quotes the first section and then one other thing. Arche Vishnu Shiladir, Guru Sanadapatir, Vaishnave Jati Buddhir. Vishnu Ava Vaishnavalam Kalimalamatane Paratirte Buddhi. Shri Vishnu Namni Mantre, Sakala Kalashahe, Shabda Samanya Buddhi. Vishnu Sarveshwareshe Taditadamadir. Yasyava, who knows the punchline to this? Narakisa. Naraki means a resident of hell. That's what it means. So he gives all of these prerequisites. You could say, this person is a resident of hell, and we should not enter into that mood. So the first one, as Prabhupada explains, Arche Vishnu Shiladhi. To think that the deity is just a stone statue, you see. Now, as soon as you take up Krishna consciousness, and if you learn a little bit, you say, oh, we worship the deity as Krishna himself. And it all makes very much sense, because Krishna is all-powerful, and out of his mercy, he's seeing that, well, we're so covered over, we can't perceive him with these material forms. Adda Krishna Navadi Nabave Grayam Indriyai. This is a famous verse quoted in the purport in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna Namadi, the holy name, etc., form, qualities, pastimes of Krishna, cannot be understood. Yeah, you can turn it off. Did you turn it off? Yeah. Adak Shri Krishna Namadi, Nabave Grayam Indriyai, cannot be grasped. This word grayam is similar to the English word grasp. Grasp also means to understand, right? Indriyai. Sevan Mukha Hijivado, however, if one begins serving the Lord, what's the first sense you begin serving with? Tongue. Yeah, amazing, it's the tongue. Jihvado means beginning with the tongue. So of course we have to hear what the chant, so it's the ear. But he emphasizes how important the tongue is. The tongue's two functions is to help with speaking, right? Speak, and to taste. So that was Lord Chaitanya's main program. He would chant Hare Krishna and get everyone chanting, hearing, and then they'd be tired and you have prasadam. And this was Prabhupada's format also when he first came. Big kirtans, there was a little lecture, but they would kirtan before and afterward, and then there would be prasadam. And so the purification began to take place by just by engaging the ear and the tongue and like that. And what the result was is that people became more and more interested in Krishna. They were ready to hear, they were ready to read books, and that's how the movement began. So Arche Vishnu Shilade, so there's a whole series here. First is, and the end of it is that such a person is a resident of hell. So if he thinks of any of these things, then he's in a hellish mentality, let's put it that. Guru Sanadapatir, Prabhupada also quotes that, thinks that the guru is an ordinary human being. Now the guru, has a physical body, Prabhupada ate, he slept, and all of those things. But if you think that's all he is, then that's a hellish mentality. The guru is an empowered representative of the Lord. All genuine gurus are Shakti-vesh. We may not call them Shakti-vesh avatars, but they're empowered by the Lord. That famous verse at the end of the CC, which I always forget, the whole verse, but Krishna Shakti Vinana Haitar Pravatan, is that the chanting of the holy. Does anyone know the first line? It's something about the Harinam Sankirtan is the Dharma of the age, and unless one is empowered by the Lord, Vishnu Shakti, one cannot spread it all over the world. You see, but Prabhupada did spread it over the world. Therefore, he was empowered. So he's Shakti-vesh. You may not call him avatar or whatever, but that being empowered is a prerequisite of being a genuine guru. A completely surrendered soul is always empowered, and when he's inspired there to preach and so forth, and becomes a spiritual master, he's qualified because he has that special qualification of being empowered by the Lord. But an ordinary person may think, well, he's just an ordinary man, So that's also hellish. And Vaishnava Jati Buddhir. Besides Ramapati, who knows what that means? Jati is birth, and Vaishnava. So he judges a Vaishnava by where he's born. You see? When Prabhupada first brought some Westerners to India, there was a tremendous response, especially in Surat. You should go to YouTube and key in, Hare Krishna Surat. I think you'll get it. There's a whole series of wonderful DVDs in those days that Yadubar produced, following Srila Prabhupada. And there's a lot of video that had been accumulated, and he took that video and he put it all into chronological order. And then there, Prabhupada coming into the airport and doing this and dancing and preaching and all. So he created these videos which are according to chronological in different places. And then he went out, and this was 30 years ago now, and he found the devotees who were there in the video. And he asked them what's going on. So they're also narrating it. It's very fascinating. So, what was that? I forgot why I was telling you this story. So anyway, you see Srila Prabhupada. Oh yeah. So I wanted to mention that when Prabhupada disappeared, I was asking my authority, he was Ramaswamy Swami at the time, to please send me to Vrindavan, because Prabhupada had asked the disciples to come. They said, you can go, but after you finish writing these captions for the Science of Self-Realization. That was the last book that went to press while Prabhupada was still on the planet, and we wanted to get it, to be able to tell him that. So I waited. Finally, I got on, and we left. I was riding with another devotee, I think on maybe the 12th of November. Now we know Prabhupada disappeared on the 14th, right? So we would have probably gotten there on the 14th, but this is Krishna's arrangement. There was a bomb scare on the plane, believe it or not, on the way to Heathrow Airport, which would then get the plane to Delhi. So we didn't land in Heathrow. We thought maybe it would blow up. So we landed in this little airport in Ireland. I forgot the name of it. And for 24 hours, they went over that plane with a fine-tooth comb. There was no bomb. But we were delayed. We missed our connection. So we arrived there on the 15th, 16th, and we got the news in Bombay. It was devastating. But one of the reasons I'd come because I had a mission. I was working with BTG. So while you're in India, Dravida, they told me, go and see Sridhar Swami, who was Prabhupada's godbrother at the time, living in Navadvip, who we heard has proof that Prabhupada is a Shakti-based avatar. Oh, well, that's certainly newsworthy. So after the whole ceremony with Prabhupada's disappearance, and we went to Mayapur, and we put in the Pushpa Samadhi, where the Pushpa Samadhi is, we actually put the Pushpas in there from Prabhupada that he was wearing, so the flowers. Then I went across I was the first Prabhupada disciple to go visit Sridhar Maharaj after Prabhupada's disappearance. So I went in there and I met Krishnadas Babaji at the gate, and we had a little exchanges, and we went up to see Sridhar Maharaj. He was sitting up on the veranda. And I offered my obeisance, and he asked me, why have you come? And I said, because I wanted to ask you we heard that you had proof that Prabhupada was a Shakti-based avatar. So he said, yes. So he told Krishnadas Babaji, go get the CC. And he got him, and he looked up this verse that I cited. The Sankirtan is the Dharma of the age. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahatar Prabhatan. Unless one is empowered with Krishna Shakti, he cannot spread it all over the world. Prabhupada spread it all over the world. Therefore, he was empowered. Therefore, he was a Shakti base. So that was that interesting thing. So, Vaishnava Jati Buddhi. And to see Vaishnavas according to their birth. This is another hellish mentality, And so Prabhupada was getting some criticism from his godbrothers. He was sitting there in New York, and that, these are leches and yavanas, and you're making them Brahmins? You know, that was the big thing, that they were becoming Brahmins, you know. So Prabhupada would quote, there's verses describing, no, if someone has the qualities and the activities of a Brahmin, then they should be regarded as a Brahmin. I don't know the verse by Narada Muni. Yes. So anyway, Prabhupada was living this, you know, this verse actually. So Vaishnava Jati Buddhi. And then Vishnu Ava Vaishnavalam Kalimatadam Padatirte Buddhi. This has to do with what we drink every day, this Charanamrita. Now, those who see the water that washes the feet of the deity and the Guru and the Vaishnavas as ordinary water, rather than such purifying, we worship it, you take it, you know, it's Charanamrita. That's another hellish mentality. Then the other one, the third line, Shri Vishnu Namni Mantre Kalimalamatane Padatirtem Buddhi, who sees the holy name which can destroy all the impurities of this age of Kali as nothing but an ordinary sound. And Vishnu Vaishnavalam, and who sees Vishnu as just another demigod, you know, on the equal level with Shiva and Brahma. All of these are signs, and there's people who believe that, you know, who are disqualified, who can't get into bhakti. That's all hellish mentality. So Prabhupada is giving that lesson at the beginning here. And then this whole thing about Omkar. If you remember, I think it's in the, is it the end of the 14th chapter or 15th chapter, I think, there's this whole thing about Om Tat Sat. And Krishna also says, of course, here, Pranavaksarva Vedeshu, I am Omkar. Oh, and I wanted to share with this year, if you haven't run across it in the Adi Leela, Jiva Goswami, he gives us this very secret or subtle meaning of Omkar. Omkar is three letters, A-U-M, if you see it. Aum, right, Aum. So the A is Krishna, the U is Radharani, and the M is the living entity. So you can meditate. When we say Om, you can think like that. So I wanted to also refer back to the last verse, because in the last verse, he's encouraging us to memorize some shlokas, so that if, of course, he says Hare Krishna, we should try to remember Hare Krishna when we're dying, but there's also, he's giving the idea that he also mentioned Chintamani Pakara Sadmasu as the famous verse that we recall, because we may be in a situation in which we aren't really devotees, or you know, we haven't practiced devotion, but we remember it from the previous life. That's the idea. That's just what Gajendra did. If you memorize devotees, so you chant Hare Krishna as much as possible. So even in the next life, if you're in a difficult circumstance, that will come to you, and even if you haven't been exposed to it. So that's a wonderful encouragement to memorize devotees, memorize verses. And I wanted to share a couple of verses that I memorized that you might want to also memorize. I put them into poems. I guess they work if you do them in English. What do you think, Ramapani? It helps. Okay. So this one is a verse that I memorized, and I chant it every day when we greet the deities. It's from the Stavamala, Utkalika Vallari. Now the Utkalika Vallari is a poem written by Rupa Goswami, in which he expresses his ardent desires in devotional service. It's similar to the Vilap Kusumanjali of Raghunath Das Goswami. So here he's praying, you know, in taking a very humble position that I'm going to take so many births because I'm so sinful, but in every one of those births, please let me love you, to Radha and Krishna. Pashupala Varinya Nandana Vadametang Moharate He Yubham Bhavatu Panayo Bhave Bhave Bhavatoreva Padambujeshume. O Radha Krishna, children of the best of coward men, this single boon I beg from you again and yet again. And all the countless births my endless sins will make me meet. Let all my love flow towards your luscious, lustrous lotus feet. So you can, if you're interested in memorizing that verse, I can give it to you. It's in my poetry file. And then this classic verse, that one of the first ones I ever put into a poem. When I first read this, it was soon after Prabhupada came to Brooklyn. I joined in the end of March 73, and he came April 15th. I had no idea that I was like hitting the lottery. So many devotees will wait years to see Prabhupada. Some, like in South America, never really saw him personally. Here I was 1 week later, and suddenly Prabhupada comes. So he was giving lectures on Queen Kunti's prayers. And all the prayers are wonderful. And this one is right near the end of her prayers. He's about to leave after the war. You know, the Yudhishthira and the others, he's installed now as the king. And Krishna's going back to Dwarka, and she feels, well, I'm probably never going to see you again. So he has these very moving prayers, and near the end of the prayers, she has this wonderful prayer that is, and it's just a little verse that we can memorize, and if we take another birth, maybe it'll come back to us. Tvayame anannivishaya matir madhupate sakrit. Ratamun vahatarandha gange vaugumudanvati. O Madhu's Lord, please ever fill my mind with thoughts of thee, not any other kind. As Ganges torrent flows into the sea, let all my love flow constantly to thee. Perfect verse, perfect prayer. So this pastime of Gajendra is very dramatic, and it stresses the importance of being absorbed in Krishna consciousness, even if somehow or other you take a low birth in your next life. It's always in there. And Krishna never forgets. And so it'll always stand us in good stead. Okay, it's after 8:30. Does anyone have any questions or comments on these few points? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I'm wondering if, do we become empowered by the purification, or are we already empowered by birth?
Okay, so you're talking about the Shakti-Vesh idea. Well, the purification is a prerequisite for being empowered by Krishna. Ultimately, it's Krishna who's personally empowering you. He sees, oh, he's a qualified person, so let me give him this, blessing. And the power is there, but in our conditioned state, we're not manifesting it. We're only accessing a very small portion of our conscious ability. That's the whole thing. But by the purification, our natural state. This is a very important verse. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoi Shavanadi Shuddha Chitte Karehudoi. Very key verse. The eternal perfection, Nitya Siddha, of Krishna Prema, of love of God, is not something that we need to bring from outside. It's not something artificial. It's already there. So the word sadhya has several meanings. Because sadhana and sadhya, when you from sadhana and you achieve a sadhya. But in this case, it means something that you don't have, that you have to be, but you already have it. See? And then, so how can we experience it? Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte, by hearing, etc. Hearing, chanting, remembering all the 9 processes. The heart becomes purified. Chaita Dharpana Marjanam. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Kodehe Udoi. And it automatically awakens it. You awaken to it that you had for forever, but you have it. It's been buried. It's been covered by Maya, by your absorption in the. So the whole process is one of purification, and then you realize more and more of what you've always been, a devotee of Krishna, and you realize Krishna's presence with you at every moment. So that's the idea. It's not something that is artificial or something that has to bring from the outside. It's the most natural thing that we have. But we just can't access it. So Krishna consciousness is a process of cleansing so that we realize what's already there. Yes, Prabhu.
I have a comment and a question.
Okay, okay. 1 second.
I have a question about this question that our Bhakti in our heart. But how to understand that Guru or Mahabhagavata, he plant seed of Bhakti? So.
Yeah, okay. The Bhakti Lata Bij. Okay. I think it's the seed. We have to think of this. The seed is the seed of desire. You see? In other words, it's our desires that are being purified. But we have no access to that until we have a contact with someone who can plant it, because it's all completely buried. We've forgotten it for millions of births. So someone from outside has to awaken us. And in that famous purport to the verse, Krishna Sakti, how's it go? Brahmande Brahmate Kon, Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Pasare Pai, Bhakti Lata Bij. Right? So we're wandering up and down the universe and for ages, then we go into Mahavishnu, millions. So, but with all of that, you're right. We're intrinsically servants of Krishna. It's all in there. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. So the seed is the seed that will of desire and faith that we want to perform the practices by which we can actually realize what we already are. That's the seed. The bhakti, the prema, the seed is that is already there in a dormant state. But it will remain dormant unless by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we get the seed of the desire and the faith and the determination to practice bhakti, so that we can water that seed and it becomes the plant, and finally the fruit comes out. That's the way I understand it.
This like analogy that this is a plant of bhakti, Lata Beach.
Yeah.
And this someone from outside should awake.
Well, that's what it says, Guru Krishna.
It's just like how to say. We covered by our bhakti is covered by this body, yeah.
Yeah, the illusion and the modes of nature.
And in this analogy, this seed is like faith, like desire to know who I am and to awake this bhakti.
Yeah, sometimes I think if I review that purport, part of what talks the seed is the holy name, but it's always has to be accompanied by, because millions of people hear the holy name and it's all auspicious, but they don't take up the process, So the seed is the ground there is not fertile that the seed can actually do anything. It can't grow. But that's the idea, is that we're all devotees. Every living entity, the mouse, they're all devotees. But there's no chance of the seed being planted, without sufficient consciousness to accept the seed and to be blessed with the interest, with the curiosity and the respect, that adhau shraddha, the beginning of Shraddha. That's really part of the seed. So that we're willing to then begin watering it by the chanting and hearing, and association. So that's the way I understand it. But that perfection is already there. It's just buried. It can stay there buried for millions of births. So we're so fortunate.
Thank you.
Sure. Sorry, I'm almost out of gas here. Anyone else? Oh, yes. Maitreya Prabhu. You there?
Hi, Bo. Yeah, thank you. A nice class. Thank you. This is one of my favorite pastimes. So I had to share one question in the beginning. I thought Hai was mentioned that he went back to his heavenly planet, not back to Godhead. But then but that's the least important of that was my comment. My question was when Prabhupada, the Om, how it's not impersonal.
Yeah. How the Om is not impersonal? Are you still there? Oh, I don't hear you. You've been sabotaged. Maitreya, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Write me an email. Write me an email or whatever.
Okay. All right, Haribol.
Haribol, sorry. Technical difficulties. I think it's intermittent. Anyway. All glories.